In this lesson, we're gonna talk about the negotiation. I'm gonna try to make it as realistic as possible, the way it's been done to me 30 times during so many presentations. This never really varies. The format virtually always stay the same. I'm gonna try to keep it as realistic as possible. We're gonna go through every single permutations from the offer all the way to the end. I'm gonna give you all kinds of scenarios for negotiations that have worked for me and some that I have not accepted. We're gonna talk about all this and you're gonna get a good idea of a simulation on how that would work if you do it for real. So let's start with $55,000. That's gonna be our offer price. Plus 1,700, this is the fees. Now this amount normally is never negotiable in any way. And like I said, generally they negotiate by packages. So the next package after that might be 30,000. And if you go down to 30,000, maybe the fees might go down to 1,300 or they might stay at 1,700. It depends on the resort, it depends on the company and how they handle the thing. So they might tell you here 25 weeks. Now we have already established that it's $2,000 per week as an average, but the thing is, it depends, okay? We're talking about, depends on the resort, okay? But my idea is just to give an idea here. Why is it $50,000 then? Because they always keep a certain amount for themselves. If it had been your first time, for example, at $20,000, maybe they're only gonna give you 3-4 weeks. The rest is sort of their entry fee, like you becoming a member, which has a value. You wanna become a member, it's not always an exchange week for money at one, at the amount that the week's worth. They will take a portion. Eventually that portion will diminish as you upgrade. Eventually it's gonna vanish completely, depending on how much investment you have. So 25 weeks. Now they might say they're gonna call it free weeks, okay? Now that may not be true, meaning it's not really, or more to the point, it is not really true. It's prepaid week, okay? They never call it prepaid week. I never call it prepaid week. I always refer to free week, it's easy. But the truth is there are weeks that you have prepaid. The reason why they call it free is because once you have paid, you don't have to come back. And when you want to use these weeks, you can use them without actually having to pay anything. And then they might offer you, let's say, 50 weeks that are member weeks, okay? So these are for the members. Now, what are these weeks? Well, the member weeks, okay, you will have to pay the member price to get there. So maybe it's $2,000 a week. So that's what you pay. And maybe it'd be $3,000 in March, April, or whatever. Now, these weeks here, they will be probably January, for example, April to, April to, I don't know, June. And then we'll start again in August to maybe November, okay? So these are what normally they would call silver weeks, or they'll call low season weeks. This is what they're offering you here. Now you could change this, okay? Like having them at Christmas time or any other times, okay? That's not an issue. You decide that. Next, what they're gonna do, so these weeks are different, right? So these weeks, you get them. You pay for them when you want to use them, and once you have 50 weeks done, you can no longer use your membership. So once these are burned, when you use both of them, technically your membership is now useless because you've burned through all your weeks. What you can do at this point, okay, and say, okay, either the offer, let's say the offer is fine for you for now. The $55,000 is okay, that's not a big deal. So what they're gonna do, they might say it like this, 30% today, okay? So that would be 30% down payment, okay? So that's your 30% down payment, and 70% over, I don't know, that could be anything, okay? So let's make it, let's say 4 years, so 48 months time, I don't know, like that would come up to what, like $1,200 a month or something? No, less than that. It's 50,000. Sorry, like 800. Okay, so about. Okay, it's just an example anyway. Sorry for the math. But so that's it. So that's one approach. Now, what they can do at this point, sometimes if they need money, and I've seen this so many times, is going at it like this. Now we're going to come back to this sheet. We're not going to discard it. We'll leave it there. So what they can do, okay, at this point is go like this. So 55,000 plus 1,300, okay? Sorry, 1,700. 25 weeks we've said at 30%, 70%. They can go with 30 weeks if you give 50-50. So you give $30,000 today, and the rest may be in 3 months, or maybe 6 months, okay? And they will give you 30 weeks. Now they can even go with, let's say, 40 weeks, okay? I've seen that crazy, actually, I saw worse than that. So better than that, if you will. Now that price is almost at $1,300 a week. We're not at $2,000 anymore, but it's 100% today, okay? Within the next hour, okay? Now this is where I was talking to you about if you don't have a credit card that can cover this, like $50,000, $60,000 limit, that could be a problem. You might not be able to do that kind of deal if you don't have a credit card that has that kind of limit. Or if you don't have an easy way to do it. Calling your bank, have a transfer. There's a lot of banks that can do a lot of transfer, okay? If you have that kind of money, that's not an issue. So that's something that you can definitely do. These are the kind of negotiation that you often see. Now, what you can do at this point, let's assume that you cannot do that. Let's assume we go with a 30%, and then after that, you can pay 0 interest over time. Now, here you can come back and say, okay, give me 28 weeks. Okay, this is one way to do it. Or they may come down, okay, that's definitely a possibility. Like I mentioned to you, they may come down to $29,000, okay, but for 15 weeks, for example, or more like 13 weeks, okay, or 10 weeks or whatever. And maybe you can manage to bring it up to 15 weeks, okay? This is not a problem. These are the kind of negotiation you might see, okay? Then they might get down to $10,000 if they really want to have something with 4 weeks, okay, or 3 weeks or 2 weeks, okay? That's all the kind of possibilities that they would have. What my recommendation is try to increase it by about 20 to 30%. If it's refused, that's okay. Another thing that I want you to try to do here, as I mentioned to you, I mentioned about things that cost them nothing, that they can actually increase their revenue with very easily in the future. Here you can go and slash it and ask for 75%. That's not a problem, okay? So that's okay, because this costs them nothing in reality, as you're gonna be paying for the week yourself. Now another thing that I have seen, okay, that you can do, okay, and I'm just gonna brush up very quickly over certain permutation, okay. Like I said, I've mentioned that. I'm gonna mention it just in case you didn't get that at the beginning, but I already have another lesson that mentions it a bit. So you have 55 for, let's say, 25 weeks in, let's call it silver time, okay, like low season. But if you wanna travel during February or March, that's another thing you can do, okay? You can easily say, let's assume this is $2,000 and this is $3,000. So what you could do if you wanted to is you could negotiate it like this. You could always say, give me 15 silver weeks and give me, I don't know, 8 gold week, okay, the high season one. That's an option to you. You can change these numbers, okay? Overall, so long as it comes close to the same amount of money, that's definitely not a problem. You can do that. That's fine. Okay, during the negotiation, that's okay. A thing that I have seen recently, okay, and actually I jump on it like there's no tomorrow, because it was very important for me in the long run, okay, because I don't mind investing and I use the week because I sell them to people, and I will mention that in my last lesson. If you want to buy weeks from me, if you not buy weeks, but if you want to go using my membership and get my benefit without actually investing in a timeshare, you can do that, okay. I'm offering the one that I cannot use every year. So what they had offered me was 25 weeks, okay? And they offered me 50 2-for-1. Now the 2-for-1 here is good, but I do have to pay that amount. So here's 50 weeks that basically I pay 0 to go, but here 2-for-1 I pay $2,000 and I get an extra free one. So technically they're worth $1,000 each, right? But I still have to pay. So that's $55,000. If I wanted to use this entire package, that would have been like this, right? Plus $50,000 over time as I used a week to get my 100 weeks right here. Okay, so I end up with 125 weeks for 160, so 100,670, right? I don't know if you follow here. So that's the thing, but I do have to pay that $50,000. Sorry, that's actually wrong numbers. That's $100,000. I'm so sorry. So that 2-for-1. So I have to pay $100,000 in order to be able to get extra 100 weeks. So now we are at 155. Yeah, that makes more sense. Okay. In order for me to get those weeks, my negotiation here was, I told them to give me only 10 here. Okay, and increase this to 75. Because the value to me, okay, as I find one person, every person I'm going to find, because now I'm not actually, this amount now, I'm not actually paying it out of pocket. Okay, I have a huge viewmanship on different places, like on Google and on YouTube and on Facebook, and I have a lot of friends. So it's sort of easy for me to tell people, okay, look, you're going to buy a week from me, I'm going to sell it to you, and I'm going to get a free week. So that way, that allows me to travel, okay, and invest more in the business. Now, these kinds of packages are rare, okay, granted. I only saw it twice in 12 years, but when you see that kind of thing, then you can jump on them. Okay, sometimes they will have restrictions. Sometimes they'll have different kinds of referral program. Sometimes they may have 3-for-2. They may have it valid only one time per year. But this is kind of good because it's not too hard to find 1 or 2 couple that are going to go travel and you get your free weeks. The resort actually use this as their referral program. Sometimes they change. Nowadays, they only give you $350 per referral. Back in the days, it was a free week. It's a huge difference. Okay, you do have to pay more for that, but this is another permutation, something else that's possible. This is also where in the negotiation that I'm telling you, you can add a lot of, you could literally add as many side dishes that you want, for example. If you feel like you want to add, let's say, some more massage or resort credit or something like that. This is the kind of petty negotiation. So maybe if you say, give me 28 weeks, the guy says, no, I'll only give you 27. But you can say, okay, give me 27 weeks plus, I don't know, unlimited golf, okay, for example. Or give me, I don't know, like 30 massage. Okay, if it's something they can do, they will. Or something like that, whatever, resort credit, or what kind of means that they have to give you extra. Another thing that I have seen that I definitely recommend you can do if it's a flexible. If it's a deed or if it's a fix, you cannot do this. If it is not, here's another thing you can do, and I recommend that you do it. Nights. Okay? We always talk about timeshares in terms of weeks, right? But you can separate this by nights as well. And that's a thing you can do. You could go with, let's say you end up with a negotiation as 28 weeks for your amount of money. You could say, give me 20 weeks, okay? And 56 nights. What's the difference? The difference is that you will be able to go for 7 nights, and if you want to add 2 more, so your regular week, and you can add 2 more nights if you want to. So 7 weeks, so 1 week, so 7 days or 7 nights here and 2 more nights, it makes 9 nights. So you can go a little longer. If you don't have those separate nights in your contract, in a lot of resort, they will not allow you to break it down. You'll have to buy them directly with the resort and you may not have your benefit. So this is another things you can do, separate them by night. This is something that I have also seen in negotiation and I have participated. I have a lot of separate nights because a lot of people actually sometimes they like to go for 9 days or even 3 days. Then what do? You split a week. You can't do that. You don't want to lose your week. The other thing that you could see in contracts, okay, is when your weeks are going to expire, and this is always a thing that you want to go up with, okay. So your 27 weeks, okay, 25 weeks, they might say that you have I don't know 10 years to use them, okay. Well, the thing is you can negotiate that, okay, in many ways, in many forms. You could say give me 15 years, give me 25 years. The lifetime of the membership, that doesn't matter. You can negotiate that. In reality, for them, it's just a mean for you to lose your weeks. They might say that your weeks, okay, and this is something, you might say 25 weeks, but it's going to cost you $500. They're free weeks, but every time you're going to use them, they cost you $500. You have to be careful with that. Certain weeks are designed like this. Or for example, I have 2 weeks, okay? I have that a lot in my contract. So basically I can use these 2 weeks to go to the resort for 2 weeks in a row, or so either is 1 + 1, okay, so 2 weeks, or I can literally use let's say so this is 2 weeks, so that would equal to let's say 1st to 14th of a month. But if I want to travel to the 1st to the 7th of the month, or that'd be the 8th because there's 8 nights, then I can have 2 rooms. Right? So far this is very easy to understand. Now where it's becoming a bit more complicated is that 2 weeks equal 1 presidential suite. Presidential suite is a suite with 2 rooms, okay? So that becomes now a little different. The idea here is that basically I use these 2 weeks and it becomes a presidential suite. That's fine because presidential suite is 2 rooms with a bigger living room. But I have to pay out of pocket $950 extra, okay? Out of pocket to be able to use that. So that becomes 2 weeks plus $950. I have negotiated sometimes with $0. So that's also a negotiation. That's fine. I agree that you want to give me, instead of giving me 25 weeks, you want to give me, let's say, I don't know, like 14 times 2 weeks in presidential suite. So that's fine, but I want $0, not with the $950. That's a negotiation. I'm not getting any more nights, okay, if I negotiated 28, okay, so if they had agreed on 28, I'm not getting any more nights, but I'm not paying the $900. Or they may say like 50-50, so 7 like this and 7 like that, so that's it. So this one has $900 to pay, this one has 0. Okay, I've seen that kind of thing. I've seen also something different as well. They agree on 28, we wanted 30. They don't want to give us 30. They don't want to show in the contract 30. So we're there for 2 weeks. Okay, so we're staying at the resort for 2 weeks. So they turn out and say, how did you pay for those 2 weeks? Well, I used them from my free weeks and my membership. It's an upgrade. Okay, we're going to re-bank them in your membership. Or I've paid for them, we're going to refund you. So that way, it doesn't show that the negotiation, that they actually gave me more than 28 weeks, but they get that back. I've mentioned that to you the same way when I said, we're at the resort right now, give me 3 extra night. Okay? So give me 3 extra night. Here the guy calls the front desk, okay? So he called the front desk and he discussed it directly with the front desk. This does not appear in the contract at all, okay? It does not show in their contract that I have received 3 more nights. So nobody else, no management, nobody in the, in the resort in the future can come to them and say, why did you give this guy 30 nights when you normally give 15 to others? He did not, okay? It's nowhere in the contract. It doesn't show. So this is a way to do that as well. So if you stayed at the resort for 2 weeks, you can, or 1 week or whatever, you can always ask the person, okay, but right now I'm staying at the resort. I want you to refund me for that week. That they can do. And that is basically the equivalent of negotiating 1 more week without actually having it appear in your contract. That's another way to do that. There's a lot of permutation, okay? The sky is the limit. We're talking about flexible weeks here. That's fine if it points, it's point system. So there's a lot of things, but overall, these are all the things and then some, I guess, that I have seen during my presentation. But again, those numbers will change depending if they need money or not, depending on how much they need it, when they need it, if they're really struggling. Another thing that I have seen as well is, let's say I pay $55,000 for something, and normally I will pay it in one shot, okay, in advance. But if they do need the money, okay, they might, if you don't pay in advance and you still have some payments, they may call you and say, so that a lot of people mention that in the group, and it's true. I received the email too. It's just because I pay in advance, so to me that's a waste, but I get more benefit at the beginning anyway. But let's say I didn't pay everything in advance. They come to you and say, look, if you can clear your balance today, we'll give you 20% off of what you've paid. So your residual, so let's say you still have like, I don't know, $15,000 to pay. Well, we'll give you 20% out of that 15, or I've seen 3 weeks given, because at this point they need money and they're willing to lose 20% in order to collect cash quick. This is something I have seen as well. You should benefit from this whenever that happens, because it's an extra perk that you didn't expect and that they give you. But I'm not saying if you can pay immediately to have more benefit, do it, as opposed to paying monthly and hoping that they're gonna do it, because it only happened twice for me in 13 years. So I don't see, I have received 2 emails like that in 13 years, so that's nothing. So that's the kind of things that you can do. The rest is basically benefit and everything, but that's already in the package, and that will be mentioned, okay, during the negotiation. Not the negotiation, because you cannot really negotiate your benefit, but that's the thing. Now, before I let you go, I'm going to talk about one last thing that I've noticed also a lot in presentation, and I want you to understand how it works, okay? What we call basically your residual or your investment pass over, if you will, when you talk about upgrades. So let's say Hard Rock, for example. They have a premier level, which is what you begin with. You get VIP, and then you get Hall of Fame. Now, Hall of Fame has multiple levels, but okay, I'm Platinum, so last level. The minimum you need is $250,000 here, $100,000 there. Now, these numbers may have changed. They may have increased. They may have decreased because of coronavirus. I don't know, but it's a decent approximation anyway. So the thing is that let's assume here, okay, for the Hall of Fame you get, let's say, the butler, okay, and you get, I don't know, the cabana by the beach, and you get I don't know, ocean view, okay, so guaranteed ocean view. There's tons more benefit than this, okay, private transportation, limo transport, whatever, but let's just stick with that. Let's say VIP, you get, I don't know, a free upgrade to concierge level room, for example, okay, and you get, I don't know, let's put van, transportation using a van. Here you get, you get zip, okay, you're a member, but you don't get anything really. You have access to certain private areas or certain pools for Premier, but they're very rare. You're not really getting much. The thing is if the presentation offers you something at $95,000 to begin with, okay, let's assume, I'm just using a huge number here because I want to make it close to what I need to teach you here. Well, you're going to be a Premier. You're not going to have any benefit of VIP here. You're going to just be Premier. So in here, they may give you 50 weeks. Okay, that's not the point. But I'm saying is you will not get the VIP benefit. If you want to invest $250,000, you're not going to get Hall of Fame. It's the same thing for anything else. So if you're a VIP already with $100,000 of investment and they offer you another $90,000, you still will get the same benefit. You're not increasing these benefits here. And you won't be able to negotiate in any way to get a higher level until you get that amount of money in the pot, okay? It's the exact same thing with airlines, okay? Platinum with United, for example. So if platinum for United is 75,000 miles, well, if you have 74,000, 0.9 thousand miles, you're still missing, you're not going to have any benefit of platinum, okay? The fact that you're missing a few miles, you're not going to be able to do anything. You'll have to fly more. Back in the days when it was Continental Airline, you could have bought them, but today with United, ugh. Anyway, no comment. But the idea is that yes, it is possible. It is possible that that you will not get any more benefit because you don't reach the minimum investment for the higher level. It has nothing to do with the like you negotiating that extra thing. You cannot say, okay, I'm gonna put like 100,000, but I want you to give me the butler. It's not part of the system. They'll never allow you to do that, because then the Hall of Fame who've paid $250,000 are gonna complain, and that's not gonna work. But the thing that matters is that when you're gonna come back, so they're gonna look at your profile and they're gonna see that, let's say for example, your Premier, okay, and you have, let's say, $60,000 invested, okay, yeah, 60,000. And by the way, the fees, the $1,700 fees that I mentioned before, does not count, okay, so that's just the raw money you put in. So you have 60,000. So now they might make you an offer automatically at 55,000 and say to you that if you do this, you're gonna have the free week and everything we've mentioned to you at the beginning, plus it's gonna push you over to the VIP level. And now you're gonna get all the VIP benefit, okay? So this is exactly, this is using your initial investment, so basically what you have put in already, your capital that you already have in your membership, in order to upgrade you to something better. And now your benefits are gonna change tremendously. VIP, by the way, is what you would have if you travel with me automatically without having to pay anything. But that's it, I cannot offer you Hall of Fame, that's not possible. But I can offer you VIP. So that's the idea. That would be the equivalent of you investing $100,000 immediately without having to invest it. Okay, that's basically the idea if you were to use an Hall of Fame like me to travel. But the idea is this: you will only see that level if you already have more than $100,000 or whatever the cap for that level is. So this is where they're gonna get you to invest more. We were very close to Hall of Fame. The deal was not that enticing, but when they started talking to me about, okay, but you're gonna get the butler, they're smart, okay? The guy was literally telling me this now, okay? Like, we're gonna call the butler right now, the butler is gonna come, he's gonna talk to you, and they did. And the butler came and they talked to me and they told me, yes, but you're gonna get this, you're gonna get that, you're gonna get this. We only had 2 days in the resort, and we had another, like basically 12 other nights to go. So we're like, oh yeah, that's nice. We're gonna have all those benefits. Okay, so maybe the offer was not as great, but because we were increasing in level, that was making it possible, and we did. And then eventually we continued investing. But this is a thing that you may consider why you should upgrade, because you're gonna upgrade also getting more benefit without actually having to do anything, just because of your investment, push you over a cap. The same way would be with an airline when you're gonna be like, silver, gold, platinum, and then, I don't know, like 1K, and eventually, welcome into a bigger program. So that's the thing, okay? This is the type of negotiation that you have to keep in mind as well, okay? Whether or not you're gonna get more benefit or not. You may not get any if you don't go over that threshold. So that might be worth it to invest a bit more, or you do it a subsequent time if you don't do it this time, okay? That's not a big deal. But I'm telling you, it's worth it sometimes just to bust one level and have way more benefit. And that's it. That's for the negotiation. I hope it wasn't too long, and I hope I covered as much as I could in order for you to get the global idea, so that when you're going to be made an offer of 50,000 or 20 or 30 or 40,000, that you're not too shocked about it, and you understand a bit how to negotiate that. And this piece of paper, by the way, okay, all these pieces of paper that we have here, all the negotiation, you're gonna bring this when you're gonna go with your contract, to sign your contract, and you're gonna go over this and you're gonna say it, okay? You're gonna write it down. You're gonna check it out. Because if the guy promised you that you have enough money to upgrade to VIP, you wanna be able to know that, hey, during the presentation, that's what was said, you didn't say VIP in the contract, or we said 28 weeks, you put 25. This is where the proof of your negotiation will come from. So you need to have this handy when you're gonna go negotiate. And that's it. So I hope that was useful, and see you at the next lesson.